Welcome to Women Engage, where real women talk about real issues. I'm so glad that you could come and join us today on our program. We've got a really interesting topic to talk about. If you want to get involved in our topic, please engage with us by going onto our website, www.ecdadventist.org, and click on Women Engage. From there, you'll be able to send your comments, discuss with other women, and just add to our topic. Our panelists will also go on there once in a while, and you might be able to engage with them as well. I wish to introduce to you the lovely ladies on our panel today, and I'm going to ask that they tell us their name and give me just either a word or a phrase to describe a strength that you have. So I'll start. My name is Jocelyn Isabidie. I think a strength that I have is, I think I'm a good talker.
My name is Yetunde Odeyemi. I think one of my strengths is in the fact that it's always about integrity for me when I relate with people or when I'm in the workplace or in any relationship. I like people who are honest and straightforward. Whatever they say is what it is, not what you have to interpret it to be.
Okay. My name is Debbie Maloba. For me, one of my strengths, I think I'm committed, to what I do, and I also like those who are with me, surrounding me in my group, also to be committed to what we do.
I am Caroline Coralie, and I'm a very honest person, though it will sometimes take me to lose people because of my honesty.
Okay.
I am Marianne Razafia Rivoni. I think one of the major strengths is that no matter how difficult people are around me, I find a way to get along with them.
And I'm Margaret Mutero. One of my strengths is encouraging others.
Okay, thank you ladies and welcome. So our topic today is a woman's self-worth and self-esteem. Now ladies, how many of you, when I told you that I wanted you to say something positive about yourself, how many of you had to think a little bit and felt a little bit uncomfortable? Was it easy for you to say something positive about yourself, or did you find that you had to think a little bit about it, and you know, how easy did you find that to do?
For me, it was easy because that is what I live, and I know it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was easy for me to give.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it was easy, but you have to find the right words to say that.
Exactly, yeah. I was looking for the words, you know, the right words to use without making too many long sentences.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Margaret, what about you? Sorry.
I think for me, at this age now where I am, it is not difficult. But at a younger age,
Yes.
it was difficult because the way we are raised up, in my culture, it says, don't blow your own trumpet.
Yes.
Don't praise yourself.
Yes.
So we were taught to criticize ourselves more than we praise ourselves.
Yes.
So to find something positive. But as I've grown, I've learned that I have to embrace who I am.
Yes.
And look at both the positive and the negatives about who I am and accept them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Caroline.
It's easy, but still uncomfortable in front of people to say what you're worth, what you think is good about you. Because people always think, oh, she thinks so much about her.
Yes.
So it's easy, but uncomfortable.
Yes. So there is a bit of discomfort. And I like, you know, what Margaret said, at a younger age, it would have been more difficult. And I think as we grow older and become more confident in who we are, it's easier to articulate. But I think I can relate also. I think it's become easier for me to speak positively about myself. But other things, even when you know it and you think it, you don't want to articulate it lest you sound arrogant. And there's always that sense of, you know, not wanting to look like you're full of yourself. And part of it is culture. It is culture where we're told, you know, to be humble, you know, you need to not be boastful. And particularly as women. Now, I don't know, we have women here from all over our continent, but in my culture, our girls are taught not only not to be boastful, but even when you relate to people, particularly men and older people, you don't even look at them straight in the eyes. You know, a humble girl keeps her head averted. She does not look at a man straight in the eyes. If you do, it's seen as being arrogant, and you know, so you're taught to be humble, to be not to brag, not to say all these things about yourself. And we're talking today about a woman's self-worth and self-esteem. It looks like, you know, we have women here who have good self-esteem, but what does that mean? What is self-esteem? What is self-worth? How would we define it?
I believe it's an appreciation of your values, of your, I mean, your inner thinking, your self-thought about yourself is an appreciation. Is when you think of yourself without anybody watching, you feel like, yes, I'm making a contribution, I am here for a purpose, I am important, I'm loved.
Yes.
So I believe this is what self-worth is all about. And so even if others may somehow say things like arrogant or things like you're being boasting or anything, even if they say it, my self-talk says differently. So to me, that's what self-worth is all about.
Okay.
It's a confidence that I have that I'm worth something or I'm someone. And that confidence, I need to show it. I need to show it because that's what builds me up, what I am worth. It's no one else. I can't build my self-esteem upon someone else. It's myself.
It's the value you put on yourself. That's why we start with the word self-esteem, because it's not necessarily what others think about you, even though it does affect. If you're not somebody who is able to sieve and know what others are saying, is it true, is it not? And so the value you put on yourself, how you look at yourself, that inner voice, what does it tell you about who, let me put myself, who is Margaret? Am I a bad person? Am I ugly? Am I ignorant? How do I perceive myself? How do I look at myself? And if those are the kind of negative talk I give to myself, then even when I'm among people, I will always act low, and I will always feel that I'm below others. But if I look at myself and see myself as somebody, yes, I have weaknesses, but I also have strengths. I am somebody of value. I am created by God. I can contribute to the society. I have my own strength that can help in the family, at workplace, in the larger society. Then I begin to look at myself as person of value. And I esteem myself higher, or I have a healthy esteem.
Okay.
Let me take it from the angle of being a creature of God. You know, when I hear self-worth, self-esteem, I sit and I ask, why do people wonder why somebody else should define them? As a creature of God, it's enough definition that God created me. And you know, I think it's about the confidence that I have in who I am. By nature, I'm very shy. When I say it, people don't believe it.
I also was thinking, I don't believe it.
But I'm shy. I do not like to be the center of attraction. But you know, I tell myself, still, that should not remove the confidence in what I can do and the value I can add to every platform that I am given. I know our platforms are different, you know. People have different platforms to operate on. Some are larger. For some of us, it's a small one. For some people, it's medium-sized. But you see, on that platform, my point is that you should be able to add value to society from your own self, from the things you can do, not what others define you to be. I go for women's program and I tell them, please describe yourself. Don't tell me you are married. Before you were married, you were a human being. Before you were married, you had certain character traits that the man saw and made him think, oh, I can live with this one for the rest of my life. But most of the time, women like to define themselves based on other things. I'm a married woman. It's not a crime to be married. Neither is it a crime to be single. But you know, when you are asked to define yourself, talk about the things that are of you.
Yes.
Yeah, the things that are of value in you, not the external things. It's not about your degree. It's not about the position you hold in the workplace. You know, the things that are of value to you are the things that define your success.
Yes.
And that's why everybody can be successful on their own platform.
Okay.
There's enough room for each person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to go back to something that Margaret said about self-talk. I think that was important. She talked about, you know, regardless of what other people say about you, you know, what do you tell yourself in your innermost thoughts? What do you think of yourself? Maybe I just want to ask a question. When can I believe my self-talk? Because my self-talk might not necessarily be the truth. If everyone else tells me I'm a bad person, but I tell myself I'm a good person, it could be that actually I am a bad person. You know, when do I believe my self-talk? What should my self-talk be based on in order for that self-talk to be healthy? How can I know I have a healthy self-talk?
I think it has to be based on reality, first of all.
Okay.
Secondly, there are those who are close to you and love you, and they will be able to tell you the truth if you are not self-aware, because
Yes.
it also comes with self-awareness. There are those who really love you, who will tell you the truth if you are ready to listen to it. But above all, I believe each one of us, if we really dig deep in ourselves, we didn't know who we are. We may not know everything about, like a car, we have the blind spots, but we do know quite a large percentage of who we are. And when I was talking about self-talk, there is negative and positive self-talk.
Yes.
Because most of us ladies actually give ourselves more negative self-talk
Yes.
than we give ourselves positive.
Positive.
For example, I'll give an example. Maybe I go somewhere, I say the wrong word, like I am here. I say something very wrong, and I will not stop beating myself up.
Yes.
After that, I say, Margaret, how could you say that? How stupid are you? Listen to what I'm telling myself.
Yes.
How could you make a mess of yourself? It's just like who you are.
Yes.
You'll never do anything right. But it's just one mistake I made.
Yeah.
I can go and talk to myself realistically and say, you know, you messed up there, but you can do better next time.
Yes.
That is realistic self-talk.
Okay.
I can go and blame and I say, oh, those people, they never gave me a signal, they never did that. So we talk different kind of talks.
Yes.
But in self-esteem, we have to be realistic with ourselves, but we also have to be our own encouragers.
Yes.
Because the world out there discourages us a lot.
Yes.
There is also the element that Yetundi was mentioning about that external and the internal. We have to be able to separate the two. When we talk about self-esteem, does that have anything to do with education, with money, with the dress I wear? Or does it have to do something with the raw me inside? So to be able to distinguish with that takes time, takes self-analysis like she's mentioning, and also a level of maturity.
Yes.
Whereby you have to sit and somehow have a real talk with yourself. Sometimes it hurts. So like, for example, I'm saying like, I get along a lot with people. It's true. But sometimes also, I may be too docile or whatever. I have to tell myself that, and say, man, there is a time sometimes you have to be assertive. I am not. And sometimes it's good for me, myself, to say that rather than somebody outside.
Yes.
But then on what basis am I saying that? Am I saying that because somebody did not give me that promotion or because somebody did not give me, we have to distinguish the external of our world with what is really there standing naked.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, ladies. So we're going to take a short break and then we'll be back with real women talking about real issues. Welcome back to Women Engage, where real women talk about real issues. So before we went on our break, we were talking about self-talk and the importance of having a healthy self-talk. And we're trying to define what makes it healthy. And so we talked about it being realistic. But I want to go back to also something that Yetunde said about she thinks about herself as a created being created by God. So I think also that's another thing that makes for healthy self-talk. Your self-talk is based on what God says about you. And I think that's very important because, you know, the Bible tells us the heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it? So even sometimes I don't know my own heart. But if my self-talk is based on God and what He whispers in my ears, I will never go wrong. Regardless of what the world is telling me, if I listen to Him, the world might be praising me and God is saying, don't listen to them because I'm telling you that you actually have a problem. So I think that's also very important. Now, let's look at it maybe at another dimension of this. When does self-esteem become pride? In my culture, even a girl who speaks and looks, I don't know if anyone else shares that a similar type. You also have it in Nigeria. Yeah. So in Uganda, you know, in some of our cultures, just a girl, a 12-year-old girl looking and speaking to grown men with eye contact is already, she thinks too highly of herself. So how do we define when you think too highly of yourself? Because in other cultures, that's not so. In other cultures, we teach our young girls, look at people, you know, look at their, you know, give eye contact. We teach that. So how do we define when you think too highly of yourself? How do we define that?
I think the first thing you have said yourself is culture.
Okay.
We have to be in the right culture. In other words, I'm trying to say when you are in Africa, and Africa is also not one homogeneous country. Yeah. It's different. Probably how you behave when you are in Kenya is very different. Like, for example, I'll give an example. When I worked in Cameroon, the first thing I noticed is that people are too loud. Too loud when they are talking to each other. It's like they are shouting. It's like they are ready to fight. And it intimidated me coming from the Eastern African culture where people are more reserved, more gentle, if I may put it in quotes. I was wondering why these people want to fight all the time. But with time I realized that's their culture. When they talk to each other, they are very loud, they are very assertive, and they are all those kind of things. So within the culture, if in your culture, you are not supposed to look at a man straight in the eyes as you talk, then when you do that, you are going against the grain, and those people will be offended by what you are doing. But in another culture, then if you look down, then it's offensive to those people. So I think we have to be in the right, especially if you are born there. That is when people say, I think people forgive a stranger or a foreigner, but if you are born there and they know you understand the culture, and you're just bringing this foreign culture to them, that's when they get offended. But coming back to your question about pride and self-esteem, when you value yourself, you know, pride is where, to me, I feel is where you try to make yourself better than anybody else. You feel you are more important than other people. But good self-esteem is where you know you are positive and you affirm yourself, but you also affirm others. For example, Marianne may have a strength I don't even have, but I will affirm her for what she has. If she's very good with relating with people, I will even tell her, in this case, when we go, you talk. You are the one who is better at this. So you value yourself, but you also value what you see in other people, because it's not all about you. But pride is when you always think you are better than anybody else.
Just to add to what Margaret said, take it in a different context. There are people who, as she said, who think they're the best. Not only that, they want to intimidate others. I'm the only one who knows these things. I'm the only one who clothes very well, who dresses very well. I'm the only one who does everything very well. That is when pride now comes in, and it affects people. Sometimes you know it and you ignore. You know it, that what I'm doing, it affects somebody, but you do it. And in our society, especially women, we need to avoid it. And people do note it very well. I will not say, I don't know the attitude I'm taking towards people if it hurts. We know it very well, but because this is one of my characters, I keep on doing it, knowing that I hurt others. And it is very, very, very difficult and very challenging in the society.
Coming back to society, I think we too often we define our self-esteem, our self-worth because of the society. Well, as women, we're talking about women and self-esteem, self-worth. We are all married women. When we get married, we take our husband's name. So coming from a different culture, I learned that when I came here, I was called Mama Joy. But where's Caroline? So I'm always Mrs. Coralie, my husband's name, and now I'm Mama Joy. Where's Caroline? Where's myself? Where's me? So how do I define my existence, the reality of what I am? So I have to embrace that culture, but sometimes I argue with people I'm close with. I'm like, no, I'm not Mama Joy, I'm Caroline. So that's why I kind of don't like titles. It will always go Sister Coralie, Mama Joy. Okay, it's respect. I respect your culture. But please give me some value, some worth. So that's how sometimes society put us down.
Yes.
Without realizing we are called by someone else's name.
That's true.
I'm not born Mrs. Coralie. My birth certificate is Caroline. So I think this also calls for attention.
And that's interesting because as Caroline talks about how she's defined by her motherhood and by, you know, the fact that she's someone's wife, that can also lead to low self-esteem. What happens when you are a young woman and you're not married?
Yeah.
What happens to your self-esteem? Because you're not Mrs. So-and-so. It doesn't matter how eloquent, beautiful, talented, educated you might be. The fact that you don't have a Mrs., it will affect your self-esteem. Or you get married, but you're not a mama anyone. Then that also affects, because the society says, now you're married, you've ticked that box. Now the next box is you've got to become a mother. And without that, then again that affects your self-esteem.
I think what you have brought up, Jocelyn, it's key. And a lot of women struggle with this, and you virtually have no one to turn to. Caroline is brave enough. I remember one day I called her Mama AJ. And she looked at me and she said, if you are truly my friend, you will call me Caroline. So we joked about it. And, you know, I understand where she's coming from. And a lot of times we let what society says define us. People get married, believe you me, because society says you must be married. I have a number of young ladies who are not married, who would not buy a car, because if they buy a car, they won't get a husband. And it drives me up the wall to say, what type of man would come? A bicycle rider. That is what you are asking for yourself. I know you are not getting into the marriage because of the money, but at least if you have worked to the level where you can do something for yourself, please go ahead and do it. I take a lot of pride in the fact that my first car I bought by myself.
Good for you.
Not because my husband could not buy for me, but I told him I would like to be able to save money and do it by myself. And he only looked at me and he said, it's okay. At least there's one car for you to use before you buy your own car. You know, these things there are things a lot of women struggle with, and they will never be able to say it out. At times we wait for the people at the salon to tell us, oh, your hair is lovely. But you can see in the mirror, this sits like a basket on your head. And you just have to accept it like that. You know, and I tell myself, it's okay. Even if that hair looks like a basket, there should be an inner beauty that other people can see. And so we really need to be careful when we talk about self-esteem and what, like Margaret said, let us encourage others. Some are not as strong as we are. They don't have the personality. Jocelyn is a good talker, but some of us are not able to speak in public. And when we meet them along the way, as ladies, let us try and build them up. Let's not put them down the more and say, you don't have this, I have this.
All right. right, ladies, as we wind up on this topic, I'm just going to ask, what final word would you like to leave about self-worth and self-esteem?
The Bible says I have been wonderfully made, created by the most powerful, the only God. So I would encourage young ladies, women, to be themselves. Be yourself, because everybody else is taken. Be yourself. Don't be a copy of someone else. Just be yourself. Pray a lot about rising up, and God will take care of the rest.
For my part, I would like to say that society may not change. They may not come to uphold you, but you have a job. You have a duty to yourself. The Bible says nothing is impossible to all who believe in God. So therefore, try, do your best. Make it a duty to yourself, an obligation to yourself, a honor to yourself to be the woman you have to be and you want to be.
God never makes mistake. He created you for a purpose, and you have something to offer to this world. And so I would like to let you know that the society, your family may say many negative things about you, but you need to stay focused, you need to stay positive, and it is more important what you think and tell yourself than what others think and tell you that you are. You are who God created you to be.
Amen. My strength comes from God. And I can do all through Christ who strengthens me. All women, being confident for themselves, they will do something in their own families, their own lives, but also in their societies.
Okay, I think every woman, every lady, every girl should see herself as important to society and to herself. There's something you can do for yourself which no other person is able to do.
You know, there is just so much that we could have talked about this topic, but unfortunately, we have run out of time. So today we've been talking about our self-worth, our self-esteem, and how valuable we are, created in the image of God. Beautiful women, girls, and men, all of us created in the image of God. Let us be proud of our image and who we are. Let us speak positively about ourselves. Positively based on reality, but above all, positively based on what God is speaking into our lives. Keep in touch with us through our website, www.ecdadventist.org, and click on Women Engage, and we will continue this discussion and many others.